Life on the mainland had become a predictable rhythm. I lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio. My house was a lovely two-story colonial with a green lawn I mowed every Saturday. My days were structured around a demanding corporate job that paid the bills but offered little real joy. I would wake up, commute through traffic, sit in a cubicle for 9 hours, and then drive home again. The weekends were a blur of errands, chores, and preparing for the week ahead. It was a comfortable life, the kind of life many people strive for, but it felt increasingly hollow. I realized I was living on autopilot, simply going through the motions without any genuine passion or excitement for what the next day would bring. The desire for a change started as a quiet whisper. It grew louder with each passing season. The long gray winters of the Midwest began to feel oppressive, casting a shadow not just on the landscape but on my spirit as well. I craved sunlight, vibrant colors, and a connection to nature that felt more profound than a manicured backyard. I wanted to wake up to the sound of something other than the neighbor's lawnmower or the distant highway. This longing wasn't just about escaping the weather, it was about escaping a life that felt scripted and small. I wanted an adventure, a challenge, and a place where life felt less about accumulating things and more about experiencing moments. The decision to sell the house was the first concrete step toward making this dream a reality. It felt monumental, like cutting the anchor that held me to this predictable existence. The house represented security, stability, and years of hard work. Letting it go was both terrifying and liberating. It was a declaration that I was choosing a different path, one that was unwritten and uncertain. My friends and family were supportive but surprised. They saw the life I had built as a success, and the idea of dismantling it for an unknown future seemed risky. But for me, the greater risk was staying put, and letting the quiet whisper of dissatisfaction turn into a roar of regret. So the process began. I started by decluttering, sorting through years of accumulated possessions. Each object held a memory, and deciding what to keep, sell, or donate was an emotional journey in itself. It was a physical manifestation of letting go of the past to make room for the future. I contacted a real estate agent, and soon the for sale sign was planted in my front yard. It was a tangible symbol of the change that was coming. The process of showing the house to strangers, keeping it perfectly clean, and negotiating offers was stressful, but it also fueled my determination. Every step brought me closer to a new beginning, a life beyond the familiar and predictable confines of my suburban world. Selling the house was a surprisingly swift affair. We listed it in the spring, a prime time for the real estate market. The agent we hired was fantastic, guiding us through staging the home to make it look appealing to a wide range of buyers. There were open houses on weekends, where strangers walked through the rooms that held so many of our memories. It was a strange feeling, seeing our personal space evaluated and judged. We received a few offers within the first couple of weeks. Negotiating was a little tense, a back-and-forth dance of numbers and conditions. But eventually, we settled on a price with a young family who seemed to love the house as much as we once did, which made it feel right. The paperwork seemed endless. There were disclosures to sign, inspections to schedule, and a mountain of legal documents to review with our lawyer. Closing day was a surreal experience. We sat in a sterile office, signing page after page, officially transferring ownership of our home to someone else. When we handed over the keys, it was a moment of mixed emotions. There was a pang of sadness for the chapter that was closing, for the home where we had celebrated holidays and marked milestones. But that sadness was overshadowed by an immense wave of freedom. We were untethered, holding a check that represented not just money, but the ticket to our next adventure. With the house sold, the big question was, where to next? We considered many places, but Puerto Rico kept calling to us. The allure was multifaceted. First, as a U.S. territory, the logistics were simpler. There were no visa requirements or complicated immigration processes to navigate. We could move there with our U.S. passports and even bring our car. This practical advantage made a huge international-feeling move feel much more achievable and less daunting. It felt like the perfect balance, offering a completely different culture and environment without the bureaucratic hurdles of moving to a foreign country. This accessibility was a major factor in our final decision. Beyond the practicalities, it was the island spirit that truly captured our imagination. We were drawn to the promise of year-round warmth, of trading snow shovels for surfboards. The vibrant culture, a rich tapestry of Taino, Spanish, and African influences, was incredibly appealing. We dreamed of learning a new language, tasting new foods, and immersing ourselves in a different way of life. The stunning natural beauty, From the turquoise waters of the Caribbean Sea to the lush greenery of the El Yunque rainforest, promised a life lived more outdoors. We didn't just want a new address, we wanted a richer, more colorful existence, and Puerto Rico seemed to offer that in abundance. The day we finally moved was a whirlwind of chaos and excitement. We had downsized our lives into a handful of suitcases and shipping boxes. Stepping off the plane at Luis Muñoz Marine Airport in San Juan was an immediate sensory overload. The wave of warm, humid air felt like a welcoming embrace, a stark contrast to the air-conditioned chill of the plane. The sounds were different too, a symphony of coqui frogs, distant salsa music, and the melodic cadence of Spanish being spoken all around us. It felt exhilarating and slightly overwhelming. We were officially here, standing on the soil of our new home, and the reality of our decision began to sink in with every tropical breeze. Our first few weeks were a period of intense adjustment. We had rented a small apartment near the coast while we searched for a more permanent home. Simple tasks that were once routine, like grocery shopping, became adventures. We navigated aisles filled with unfamiliar brands and local produce like plantains and breadfruit. Communicating was a challenge. While many people in tourist areas speak English, daily life in our neighborhood was conducted primarily in Spanish. We relied on translation apps, hand gestures, and the patience of kind strangers. It was humbling and sometimes frustrating, but it also forced us to learn and adapt quickly, pushing us out of our comfort zone in the best possible way. One of the biggest challenges we faced was the infamous island time. On the mainland, everything runs on a strict schedule. In Puerto Rico, life moves at a more relaxed, unhurried pace. Appointments might start a little late, and service can be slower than what we were accustomed to. Initially, this was a source of great frustration. We would tap our feet impatiently, checking our watches. We had to learn to let go of our rigid expectations and embrace the flow. We solved this by adjusting our own mindset, building extra time into our schedules, and learning to enjoy the moments in between. It taught us patience and the importance of not rushing through life, a valuable lesson in itself. Despite the challenges, the initial surprises were overwhelmingly positive. The warmth of the people was astonishing. Neighbors brought us plates of food and offered help without us even having to ask. The natural beauty was more stunning than any photograph could capture. We were surprised by the sheer diversity of the landscape, from dry forests in the south to lush mountains in the center. We discovered little kiosks or kioscos by the beach selling the most delicious fried snacks. Every day brought a new discovery, a new flavor, a new friendly face. It was a constant reminder that we had made the right choice, trading our predictable life for one filled with wonder and surprise. What I enjoy most about living in Puerto Rico is the profound connection to nature and the vibrant rhythm of daily life. I love waking up to the sound of tropical birds instead of an alarm clock. My weekends are now spent exploring hidden beaches, hiking to waterfalls in the rainforest, or simply sitting on my balcony watching the sunset paint the sky in fiery colors. The food culture is a constant source of joy. The taste of fresh mangoes right from the tree or a perfectly cooked mofongo is something I'll never take for granted. Life here feels more present, more sensory. There is a collective spirit of resilience and joy, a love for music, family, and celebration that is infectious and beautiful to be a part of. The challenges we faced in the beginning have transformed into learning experiences that have made us more adaptable and open-minded. The language barrier that once felt like a wall has slowly become a bridge. We take Spanish classes and practice every day, and with each new word we learn, the island feels more like home. We've learned to navigate the bureaucracy and have come to appreciate the slower pace of life for the peace it brings. We've learned that a power outage is just an excuse for a candlelit dinner and conversation. These adaptations weren't just about surviving, they were about truly integrating and embracing a different way of being, which has been incredibly rewarding. My advice to anyone considering a similar move is to do your research but come with an open heart and a flexible mindset. Visit for an extended period before you sell everything. Spend time away from the tourist zones to understand what daily life is really like. Be prepared for challenges because they will happen. Things will not always work the way you are used to, and that is part of the adventure. Learn some Spanish before you arrive. Even a little effort goes a long way and is deeply appreciated by the local community. Most importantly, be patient with the process and with yourself. It takes time to build a new life and find your footing. Ultimately, leaving the mainland was the best decision we ever made. We traded a life of comfortable monotony for one of unpredictable beauty and genuine connection. It was a leap of faith that paid off in ways we could never have imagined. We found more than just a new place to live, we found a new way to live. If you are feeling that same whisper of discontent, that same longing for something more, don't be afraid to listen to it. Sometimes the greatest risks lead to the most beautiful destinations, and for us, that destination was and is the incredible island of Puerto Rico. It is our home.